Okay, for this next attraction at Blackpool is the Blackpool Tower Dungeons. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do any filming or take any photographs, which is understandable actually due to the darkness of the venue. Plus, they did, understand, tamed it down this particular week because it was school's half term, and there was a lot of children going into the attraction as well. I do understand they do have Fright Night, obviously nearer Halloween or over a certain age, but there was some really good things like people were standing about in costume but didn't exactly jump out, which I was glad of. But there was like 6, I think, little mini shows during the visit around the dungeon, showing you, different things like witch trials, and there was like a judge and jury sort of thing, in a court and things like that. Here is some street performers. We did have a break and had Greg's, and then we're going on to Sealife Centre, which I'm going to put some music to, so hopefully you enjoy your trip around Sealife in Blackpool.
Ahoy there, good afternoon, welcome to the Ocean Tunnel. My name is Cody, I believe I just heard that repeating myself, but this is our lovely tunnel and it's a little different way to look in our ocean view display. So as you can see, everyone in this tank, especially the sharks, are wide awake right now, and that is because they know it is dinner time. We turn those bubble streams off because sharks have this incredible sense, especially on the end of their nose, called electroreceptors, and this means they can sense changes in the vibrations around them. So when these turn off, their senses go up, they all wake up and they realise it's time for dinner. And I just mentioned Flo, here she comes now, is our lovely tawny nurse shark Flo, short for Florence. She is probably one of the oldest in the tank, being in her early 30s, and she is huge. Seeing her out and about for dinner time is absolutely lovely. She is gorgeous when she moves around. I'm a little bit biased, she is my favourite. But seeing her move around is a bit of a rare sight because she's very lazy, she's very old, and she's nocturnal. So during the day, she doesn't do much. But if we look over here, guys in this side of the tunnel, will be able to see that there's been a little black and white checkerboard sign put into the water. This is how we feed Phoenix. Once she spots it, she's going to realise she's going to spot it, she's going to cruise over, she's going to bump her nose into it, and then she's going to poke her head out of the water. Doing this, she knows that she's going to get food, and we feed her lots of lovely things like broccoli, kelp, kale, lettuce. Cucumber is one of her favourites, but she's still a growing girl. She's only 24 years old, so she needs some protein in her diet as well. She loves things like squid, sprat, haddock, heron, mackerel, similar things we feed the sharks, but sea turtles also love jellyfish as well. As for feeding the other creatures, we have two methods for the rest of them, and then the rays have their own special method for feeding. So the two methods we use for the rest of the tank, for the sharks mainly, we do a target feed, which is where one of our lovely displays teams will put some food, some fish that I just mentioned, sprat, haddock, mackerel, heron, put that on the end of a pole, and we'll dip it into the water from over here. If we can see, I know the water's is sort of shaped a little bit, we can see it happening right now. Doing this, they will dip that pole into the water, and one by one the sharks are encouraged to go over and get that bit of fish. It does multiple things for them. It encourages natural hunting behaviour, they go after the food themselves, and it also allows us to do health checks for them. We make sure that they're all fit and healthy, they've got a healthy appetite, make sure their body doesn't have any marks on it, allows us to make sure that everyone is all well. She is a huge diva. Now I did mention another method of feeding. We also do and you sprinkle them in. Well, we do a similar thing for these guys here, but of course it's not exactly fish flakes, it's more chunks of fish. What we do, we will scatter it throughout the tank, and this allows all the smaller creatures to make sure they get a fill of food as well. I also did mention how we feed the rays, because the rays are a little bit trickier. Rays are naturally ground foraging predators, which means they will stick to the floor.
Want to come and see the animals just that little bit closer after the talk has concluded, as demonstrated by my assistants here. You go up these two steps here, but please don't sit or stand on this ledge here. Thank you very much. So, a little bit of detail about the tank itself. It was built in 1990 and it holds 500,000 litres of water. which is around half the overall water this centre uses just in this tank here. It's all Blackpool seawater as well. We pump it from the coast and filter it, make sure it's all nice and cosy for our animals to be in. We also heat it so it's nice and toasty, 27 degrees, so it's all nice for our animals. And believe me, with the weather outside today, I think 27 degrees in here is pretty nice for us as well. So yeah, speaking of animals, we have got quite a few. But the first one I'm going to talk about today is this big boy here. So this is our Queensland grouper. His name is Lance, and he is a very special guy. Now, don't be alarmed, I know he looks very grumpy, but he's not, it's just the way he looks. You know when your parents said don't make that face, it'll stick that way? Yep. So that's the case with Lance, but he's a very curious fish. He does like coming around and seeing what people look like in the tank and seeing who's around. So guys, if you want to make your way just over to that side on the right there, just so we're not blocking the edge. Thank you very much. So, as well, Lance is a strange kind of creature, because if you look under his chin there, you can see he's got these little folds underneath that make it look like he's got loads and loads of double chins. But it's not. Those are actually folds that mean he can open his mouth to half the size of his entire body. So that's a 4-foot fish with a 2-foot wide mouth. And Lance has got himself some powerful lungs as well, so he less chews his food and more inhales it. Which is fairly impressive, and I can't lie, when I'm hungry I can. So there are loads and loads of different species of grouper. There are Goliath groupers and loads of different ones. So, for example, you can find a lot of groupers in Mexico, but Lance is a very special grouper because he is a Queensland grouper, which means he hails from down under the spider capital of the world, Australia. And what always makes me laugh about the Queensland groupers is that in Australia, they've earned themselves a little bit of a nickname, and it is arguably the funniest nickname and the most Australian nickname I have ever heard. So in Australia, they are known as shark gobblers, which makes me laugh because I can never say that without imagining someone with an Australian accent going like, "Crikey guys, get out of the water, look over there, it's a shark gobbler." And that just keeps me entertained throughout the day. But yeah, they are called shark gobblers for a reason, because these guys eat baby great white sharks whole, and baby white-tip reef sharks as well. So they are pretty intense when they want to be. But Lance, as I said, is 4 feet long, but some of these guys can grow to about the size of a Mini Cooper. So they can get to a pretty big size when they want to. So next I'm going to talk about our giant green sea turtle here, Phoenix, who is just swimming over right now. So if you want to give her a wave and say, "Hello, Phoenix!" Oh, that was very enthusiastic, I like that. So yeah, Phoenix is a giant green sea turtle. I've got a few facts about Phoenix, but I'm pretty sure that all of you guys in here already know one fact about a shark. And that would be that they can live for a very long time. They can live up to about 80 or 90 years old in the wild, but then the oldest one in captivity lived up to 152. So, do we have any guesses as to how old Phoenix the turtle is? Go on, someone have a guess.
55.
How old? 65. Oh, that's not bad, not bad. What do you think?
751.
Big on. So, yeah, we've got 65, we've got 721. Any other guesses? Yep, we've got that.
172.
172. And yeah. 100. Oh, we've got the big 100. Well, drum roll please. So Phoenix the sea turtle is in fact 24 years old. So she's pretty young for it. She's pretty young for it.
So the last excursion was the Blackpool Tower Circus. So I didn't share it, but we did actually stop off and have some tea. We had went and had some chicken nuggets and chips, because Daniel doesn't tend to eat fish. We was seated in a restaurant, but the waiting was so long for food by this time. We turned round and said that we wouldn't stop because by the time the food would have been delivered, we would need to be at the circus. So we left there. As I said, we went to a sort of like restaurant-y type thing, fish and chip place in one of the larger amusement arcades. So we got our meal straight away, and we just made it in time because it got so busy. All the restaurants, I couldn't believe how busy they were actually queuing outside. But we, as you might see in the footage, yes, it does look empty because that's the only footage I managed to get of the circus because there was no filming or photographs to be taken, which I can understand because of, you know, sort of flashing lights and everything. And I suppose also there's the thing about having the surprises, and I'm sorry if I might actually have spoilt some of the surprises. I have not been to a circus in absolute years, and we must admit this was the final one, except for the illuminations, which may be in a separate video. I might put that all to music, but we both decided as it got into it, the circus, this was the best of all the attractions. And I will point out, if I haven't said in all this time sharing the attractions, each attraction was between 18 and about £25 per person per attraction. We paid £35 each, so £70 for the two of us for 6 attractions, which was the complete day. So this is the Blackpool Tower Circus. So Daniel, my son, actually purchased the guide. Normally I don't do things like this now, because what do you do with them? It's memories, I know, but because I haven't got any footage, we thought it was a really good idea. These are actually What I Remember brothers, and they said the two families go back absolute years. And actually, I'm sorry about the glare, but the actual photographs is the actual show, circus. I will point out, yes, it does look empty when we sat down. Maybe I should have took a bit more video before it started, but I didn't. It was sold out. It was packed. And I could understand why. So I'm just sharing that. Obviously, with the circuses nowadays, you don't tend to have animals, but that didn't spoil it. And these acrobats, I was kept going, oh, you know, like this, because some, I mean, I know that they're trained and this is what they are, and it's like families and everything. I think it's 2 main families, but the effects were really good, so I can understand. This was another acrobat team, and in like a spider's web and everything like that. So I know this might not be so interesting, but I want to cover this also for myself as well as memories. Now this lady was brilliant. She rode in on this motorbike. She then was leaned back like this, and she juggled things on her legs and arms and everything like that. So yeah, so there's those. Now, we have been to Santa Pod before and seen this metal ball, but we were discussing it. This was a fair few years ago. I don't know if it was one. It might have been 2 riders. I've never actually seen it with 3 riders. And I'm not kidding you, with the ball that came down from the ceiling. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I mean, 1 was bad enough. 2 was, you know, starting. 3 was absolutely I can't put it into words without having, you know, the circus sort of you know, atmosphere and everything, but it was absolutely amazing. So I've never seen it done with 3. Obviously you get all the bells and whistles and everything, and all the ladies all dressed up in their finery and everything. And these two throughout the time, they actually admitted that, you know, you do get a little bit sidetracked because the lights go down low while these clown around a lot in between, because obviously like the metal ball coming down and changing the set and everything in the circus. They did have a mini break in between the two halves, but they were so funny. And Daniel was in stitches, and I don't think I've got a picture because I actually mentioned it also to Daniel that we haven't got the picture of it, but these two were clowning around. Sorry again for the glare, but they brought out on wheels one of those big giant keyboards, you know, like if you watched Big, you know what I mean, and did the same tune. And this is really good because you've got 2023 there, and the cast and everything. Again, they came and did another act on these poles and jumping from one to the other on top of one another. You know what I mean. We had the drummers as well, and these came on and did a number of juggling acts. This is the lady that was originally, I believe, on the motorbike previously, and they had things in, you know, on fire and things like that. And then this was starting. This doesn't do it very justice. We wondered what was happening because the lights went really low and they were clowning around everything, and they said, come on, look at us, you know, ignore what's going on at the, you know, behind them sort of thing. And I'm not kidding you, it was not what I expected. They were rolling all the matting up in the circle ring. And I thought, what's going on now? Because obviously it was coming into the finale. And next thing I know, I turned around to Daniel and said, can you hear water? And it filled up. It was a giant tank. So the floor lowered and the tank came up. These were in the centre bit, doing another act. And then round them, again, I don't think I've got the picture, which is a shame really. You might just be able to see a little bit through here. It was like, where they, I think there were unicorns on the water, and they had the bar going to the centre, and they went round with the ladies on while they did the acrobats. And then at the end, I mean, they have to have brilliant balance, everybody. Then they all went around the ring up the end with the water in the middle to do their finale and everything. So it was really amazing and a brilliant time. And as I said, they had instruments as well. I'm just going to flick through this because I don't think that's much joy. There is a lot of other things for younger viewers, you know, ones that like our granddaughter's age and everything. But we did what we wanted to do. And I'm just going to finish up with bye-bye, see you next time. And him sweeping up, which actually did happen at the end when all the cast left. So that was absolutely amazing. We were going to look at a circus when we was in Yarmouth, and the tickets were something like £35-45 each. And for whatever reason, we didn't book up in the end. I think it was because having to go back into Yarmouth because we're staying at Caister-on-Sea, so we decided not to do it. But this was I think this was far better. Very similar things. I think they had the bikes on that one and things like that. But I really, really enjoyed this, and I can't say enough about it. If you get a chance to actually see one of these circuses, please do so, especially if you're in Blackpool. As I said, one I know they had in Yarmouth, obviously that's going to be different. So I'm going to leave my video in here. This was the last excursion, sorry. And like I said, for £35 per adult for 6 attractions, I thought was fantastic. I think we would have spent about £100-120 each in total. That's each, so we had a big saving. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.